Welcome back, my friends, to everyone's favorite football podcast, Mes Que Un Podcast. I'm here. We got a Three Kings podcast with us. We got Pablo, we got Buga, we got myself. You got three different opinions coming from three different parts of the world. You got myself in the States, of course. You got baby Buga down in Peru and Pablo from Barcelona. So if you love good banter, if you love Barcelona, you're in the right place for some podcast. I want to do that over one. That was dumb. That was really stupid. I got it in my head like halfway through.
We gotta leave it there.
I don't want to. All right.
Let's leave it in.
I might have to bleep the cursing. We'll leave it in. We'll just leave it in. I got it in my head like halfway through that one. I was like, this is the dumbest intro ever. We're going to leave it in. We're going to leave it in, everybody. We're going to be talking about the Mallorca 5-1 match. We're going to be talking about Betis 2-2. What, do you want me to start over? Should I start over?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Like I should start over.
Yes.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm following.
Wait. What's the issue with that?
I just felt stupid. I didn't know how to land the plane there. It happens sometimes when you're doing a impromptu introduction. I'm trying to remember all the things I'm supposed to say, all the things that I could say to make this exciting for all the listeners and viewers out there. And I got a little in my head. And so we're going to roll with it. We're going to roll it. We're going to be vulnerable. We're going to show our true selves. We're just going to leave this all in. It's happening.
Are we moving on yet?
It's still everybody's favorite podcast, and this is why.
Yep.
You know what's
Let's move on.
Mallorca, Betis, Dortmund match preview. That's what we're getting into. And then also, we're going to dip our toes into the January transfer window, get some early conversation there, and whatever else comes up. All right, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you leave some comments down below. We love to hear your opinions. We love to hear your questions. Love to build out this community as we continue to grow as a podcast. So with that lovely start out of the way, Pablo, how we doing, sir?
Yeah, a little bit gutted after Saturday, honestly. I think that took the stuffing out of a lot of people. The defeat, or not the defeat, feels like a defeat against Real Betis, a 2-2 draw in the last minute. You just like holding on at those stages thinking, please, this would be such a big win, beating Mallorca and Betis away in the same week. And no, we let it go yet again and becoming a little bit of a pattern of dropping stupid, irritating points. So I think everyone is a little bit nervous right now, sort of handing the title back in Real Madrid's hands again after they dropped points to Athletic Club. Atleti are on our feet now too. So yeah, I think everyone is a little bit frustrated, and we really have to win both our league games at least before the year is up. But yeah, a little bit odd, a little bit frustrated. Definitely topics to discuss and analysis to be made.
Yes, indeed. Buga, how are we doing, sir?
This is such a bad week. It's so annoying.
Wait, what?
That's my analysis.
It's just a bad week.
Not the worst in the world, is it? Or
for Barcelona, yeah, 100%.
But
is any of this, and maybe Pablo, this is maybe where you're going with it. Is any of this we just got our expectations too high because of what happened in October?
Yeah,
big wins over Bayern and Real Madrid.
I was speaking about this with people at work in the week about expectations, actually, because I don't think we had many, if any, at the start of the season. We can't forget that. And maybe the wins and the way we were playing has made us all believe that this squad is better than it actually is. Anyone hearing me on that a little bit? Are we playing a little...
I mean, I get it. I get it. I certainly do think that Barcelona right now are... For me, what's the best way that we can sort of, put it all together? I think like the balloon has burst. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think it's
honeymoon's over, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like we've lost a tire. It's like our tire is now it's leaking air. And that for me is the thing that at the moment we had like this freaking amazing run. But what I'm trying to do at the moment, and I'm not really knowing how to, is it down to what? What is it down to? What is it down to that we have these issues at the moment? Because the squad is bigger now. I mean, Gavi is back. Frenkie is back. Fermin, is he back? Yeah, he's definitely back.
Yeah, Fermin's there. Ferran Torres back.
Ferran Torres back. And then now we have a bigger squad, and it seems like we are having more of a trouble managing the games at the moment. Yeah. But then I also think, is it only down to the opposition? Is it really just down to that? I mean, is Betis really that much better than we played against them? Like in that game, Betis, I think, were better than us.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it down to them just that? Or what is it down to? And I cannot really just point the finger. And that for me is the most worrying thing, because if you do not really know what to fix, then how can you improve?
Yeah. Well, if you just give a quick scroll through Twitter, or X as the kids are calling it, Frenkie de Jong is fully to blame. He's definitely the scapegoat in a lot of eyes for Barcelona, giving up the penalty, of course, against Betis there. But even going back a few more matches, like if you look at any of the points that we've dropped recently, there's a lot of Frenkie de Jong hate going on. I don't think you can point the finger at him whatsoever. Yes, gave up a stupid penalty. That's going to happen, right, in the course of a season. I think for me, the drop points come down to inexperience. I think Hansi Flick has done a great job of getting Barcelona over the mental hurdle of feeling like we're not a big club anymore, of feeling like we don't have a champions mentality. I think he's gotten us over that hurdle, but now there's a new mental hurdle of not feeling too secure. We have to have that killer instinct. We have to finish off our opponents. We can't be just letting goals in when we're up 2-1, when we're up 1-0. So it's hurdle number 1, feeling confident. Hurdle number 2, not taking our foot off the gas. So, Buga, you struggling over there?
Sorry. No, that was. I was very much agreeing with all your points, John. I'll touch on it in a minute. Just the fact that I saw Buga's camera just switch in the corner of my eye. It was like something like a horror film or something, you know, like it just flickered, and all of a sudden we were just seeing at the back of his. Anyway,
Buga, get your production team in order. What are you doing?
Yeah,
I don't know. I need to start paying these third world country Peruvians a bit more. I completely agree, John. I think we're actually at a really critical point in the season now, and obviously it always is around December. Like, who can go in at Christmas, top of the league, is usually vital. It's usually tight around here, though, and then the gap usually does appear January, February, March. So I think whatever happens around Christmas, Barca and Madrid will be around 2 points within each other. I suppose is the good thing, if you like, for either side. But I look back to last season. I think we're recording this on December the 8th. It'll be out on December the 9th. December the 10th last season, we lost 4-2 at home to Girona. For me, that felt at the moment that after the good week against Porto and Atleti last season, where the season went and we never got it back from there, where we were sort of like, yeah, we are not winning shit this season. And that was the look around of like, we are properly below par. That's been coming. We've been getting away with the results because up until then, if Barca won the game, I think they went top. Up until then, it was like, we know we're not playing good because we weren't last season, but we are there. We are winning enough games. But I think it was that moment that switched here. And I think that's why these moments now are critical for Barca, because we're already seeing a drop-off from November. But it's, can you get back to it? Can you push on again? Can you make it a good January? Because then you go into January, you had the Villarreal game at home, which was another calamity. Remember that one, the 5-3. Can Barca avoid those sorts of games? Because we're picking up some really stupid drop points here. The Celta one and the Betis one stick out to me. Las Palmas you can have as a write-off, and I think Real Sociedad were the better team, and again, you can have it as a write-off. But yeah, that's the worrying thing for me, and that's for me why I look back to parallels of last season and say, can Barca overcome that tricky period in the season that they're now approaching? Yeah. I have been convinced. I've seen the light. I think that you're right. I think it's down to inexperience. I think it's down to like our team at the moment. We take a look at it and we still have all these youngsters in a way that they're becoming the most important players out there. You know, we have like Gavi, Pedri, and they are 20, 21 years of age. And it's like we are relying on them to be the post goals of our team, you know, the Xavi, the Iniesta, the Mudryk, the most important reliable player in there, and they're youngsters. And I think that something that I saw that is very much down to also when analyzing the game, I saw Betis and Real Betis in Real Sociedad. These are two instances where we lost plenty of duels. And I think that that's why right now Hansi Flick is so adamant in trying to get Frenkie into the team in a way, because we need like a bit of more of that, maybe you could say experience, but a little bit more of that level that will come with you just being a little bit older, that experience. I think that Frank is 27 now at the moment, so he's literally at that age, at that peak year where he can be that sort of player. And I think you're right, guys. I think that that's down to that. I think it's down to the inexperience. I think it's down to, we take a look at our team, for instance, and we still not have apart from Lewandowski, someone who is, has won the best and the biggest awards out there in football at the moment. And I think that at the end of the day, you need those sort of characters, and I think and I think it comes down to that. So, yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like you said about Lewandowski, like we don't have a lot of players who have climbed that mountain before.
Yeah,
because we're not at the top. We're maybe halfway up there, and maybe we hit a little plateau. And a lot of these youngsters are like, "Oh, we're at the top of the mountain. We're good." It's like, nah, dude, this ain't it. We got more hills to climb before we get up there. So I think that's a good point.
I mean, you look at Balde. You look at Balde. You have Pedri. Those are you have Lamine. Barsi, Casado, and
even Rafinha. He's not the youngest. He's definitely in his prime, but like this is his first big club.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of them, almost all of them. Inigo Martinez, even who's an experienced player, again, hasn't played in Champions League latter stages, for example. I think his first was against PSG last season. I mean, right throughout the team, Dani Olmo, big player in terms of European championships, obviously with Spain this summer, but with RB Leipzig, what was, quarter semi-finals of the Champions League, I suppose. Yeah, the point is that it's not a team full of winners, which I think Real Madrid are more of. And we said that at the start of the season. And this is what I was saying about expectations. This was the point everyone was making at the start of the season. Me, the first one, to say, look at Real Madrid's team, and clearly they're having the problems with the egos, and it's not working out. 11 stars in the team. It isn't, it's fair to say. But they've got an awful lot of winning, I don't know what you'd call it, winning mentality, winning habits in that team which Barca don't have. And when it gets sticky, you back Real Madrid to get through those moments more than you would Barcelona, judging on the personnel in the team. Having said that, I think Barcelona have been far the superior team to Real Madrid this season. So I don't think anything's lost or gone, but there's definitely learning curves, that we're overcoming right now and that we're having to get through by hook or by crook. And that's why holding on to a 2-1 win at the Benito Villamarín is huge. If we keep dropping up, it's going to keep playing a part in the players' minds.
Yeah. There's also one thing that for me, I take a look at this team and I feel that we're too nice, if you know what I mean. Like I think we're missing. Pablo's gonna love this, like a John Terry, like
that's
someone.
So I honestly, I thought you were going to say Caicedo. So
no, Caicedo it doesn't fit into that.
Really?
But I mean,
he's a proper
no. I mean,
player.
like too nice in the sense of that. Who will be the guy who like pulls this team out of the mud? And because that's something I also thought like you do need that. Rafinha, yeah, but it's like really like just him and
we're missing someone like a Arturo Vidal.
Yeah, someone like
who'll
that.
come in and just be nasty. Just go through people when you need to.
Yeah, like I look at for me this is gonna be a weird comparison, but in Betis you saw Chimi Avila. That he's just I hate him, okay? But it's just like if he's in playing in my team, I would love that because the way that he goes into every challenge is like, I'm going to kill this guy, and that's, I think, something that we're missing. The difference is that I think other players, like, for instance, Gavi's similar to that, but he's still very young.
I was just going to say, we do have Gavi, but...
Yeah, but he's not physically, like, at that stage yet. But once he's able to get there, the thing about Gavi is that Gavi then hits you, but then he doesn't go like, oh no, it's not my fault, Chimi Avila did that. He kind of excused himself, and I don't like that behavior. If you're going to hit somebody, like, own it, but that's also what I think we're missing a bit. And at the end of the day, when I look at these performances, I also do think that it's as simple sometimes as I think that Lamine is still very important in this team. Like I think that we saw in Betis, the difference between drawing and maybe losing that game was Lamine Yamal. And we still have to remember, and I don't know if that's the kind of a call out saying that how can we be relying this much on a 17-year-old? But I mean, he's that good. So you got to have your better players in the team. And the other final thing, because there were like 3 final things. For me, this team, we take a look at it and it's like we rely the way that Hansi Flick plays. And I don't know how I feel with this. And I want to know your opinion on it. We rely very much on being sweet, dulce in front of goal, having perfect, accurate finishing and being very precise. It's to take those chances. the ball has to go past that player. We have to do a correct through ball. We have to make the right run, but then we also have to finish it. And it's like we have to take those chances. And at the moment when you miss those chances, and if you're not as sweet on goal as before, you're gonna be seeing those problems arise. And for instance, the best example of this for me is Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo, I think in the game against Betis, he had a really quiet game. And we take a look at it. He only had 27 touches in 60 minutes of football. It's not enough for Dani Olmo. And for me, that if he's simply not as sweet with the ball as other days before, it's like we rely very heavily on having players at their top form for a formation like this and for a style of play like this. And I'm not sure whether that's the best, because at the end of the day, we know that Flick, he doesn't really change how he's going to play. So if we're not having Dani Olmo being at the best of his level, he's not going to change the formation, or he's not going to do something to get the best out of him. He's just going to go, okay, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to bring somebody else in and see if he can perform better. So I think that's, at this moment, I think that is, I don't know how to feel with that. You know, I don't know how to feel with someone who's going to be rigid in its tactical setups.
Yeah. I think that Barcelona is still trying to figure out who their third midfielder is to complete this trio. It's Pedri and it's Casa, though. And then we're just inconsistent beyond that. I'm kind of leaning towards Dani Olmo actually being a super sub. I think the fact that we spent 60 million euros on him in the summer is keeping him in that starting 11 for now. But our two biggest wins were Pedri, Casado, and Fermin Lopez against Bayern and against Real Madrid. And we haven't really seen much of Fermin since then, apart from playing on the wing, which is not his strong suit. So I'm a little suspicious of Dani Olmo in the starting 11. Every time he's come off the bench, he shines. He takes advantage of tired legs. He finds the space. But in a starting role, he's just not as impactful. That's my takeaway on it. Pablo, what are your thoughts? Am I onto something?
I'm a massive Dani Olmo fan. I do hear you, though, in terms of that he is the sort of player who could be more effective from the bench, shake up a game like he did against Rayo, for example. He completely shook that one up, on his own. I think he made a good impact against Real Madrid as well off the bench at the Bernabeu, just come back from injury, of course, around then. For me, he's still the number 10, John, because I'm a big Olmo fan. I think that's the role that's fit best for him. I mean, who would you want in that? Who become your starter? Because for me, I think when you put De Jong there and Pedri further forward, I don't know if we could become a little bit numb.
Either.
Yeah. So is it then? Do you bet on Fermin, or are you thinking Rafinha to the middle, Ferran on the wing? Like for me, with Olmo, we have the most balance. I'm not sure.
I agree on the balance. Like on paper, that should be our midfield. Pedri, Casado, Olmo. It should be. I think we would actually play better with Rafinha playing in that number 10 spot and having Ferran, having Pau Victor, dare I say even an Ansu Fati out on that left wing. I think that might actually be our strongest 11, and having Olmo, Gavi, Frenkie de Jong coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think we have got a problem with the form of De Jong and Gavi right now, though, I will say that, because I think they're meant to be big midfielders for us, and I think whenever they come on, they are not at their best. I mean, Gavi, did he come on? He did come on yesterday, on Saturday, sorry, again, you said yesterday, yeah. I mean, he didn't affect the game again, Gavi. And De Jong, I know this is a big De Jong fan podcast, but for me, he's in a limbo period at Barcelona right now. The most he's ever been in. He just doesn't fit in the team. And for me, the penalty was super clumsy, super odd decision, and everything he does. And I think you can see it on his face. I think he's having a really hard time of it, because I think he knows the fans have turned against him. He was whistled when he came on against Las Palmas, by the way, as well. And he gets whistled everywhere he goes, because in Catalonia, the opinion of De Jong is that he's sucking money out of the club, which they hate it.
Can we pause and talk about that? Because his wages always come up, and most of the time people leave out the part about it being deferred wages. Right?
Yeah. I suppose he's still going to get them paid, though, is he not? Or
Yeah, he's still going to get paid, but am I wrong in my understanding that his salary is so high right now because he deferred some of his wages? Am I interpreting that incorrectly?
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, yes, right now he is making a lot per year, but he also deferred a big chunk of those wages. So it is like, yes, he is overpaid, but he's almost doubly overpaid because he's collecting on those deferred wages. So I don't think people talk about that enough. So I just want to say that. And then the other piece, I think he's still potentially dealing with that injury.
Yeah.
We may not be seeing 100% fit Frenkie de Jong.
I'm looking at Frankie, and I feel that this is one thing that I realized. Don't you see when you look at him in the game against Betis? Didn't you see that maybe he was a little bit bulkier, or is it just me?
I didn't see that.
Some weight.
That's what I think. I don't know. Maybe he's just older. But what I mean is that
it didn't stand out to me. But I'd be curious. Maybe we'll see like a side by side somewhere.
Maybe look it up, because I think that he's looking a bit bigger, and I don't know if that's Flick's doing or something. But I think that's I think that's something that has to do. And I don't know. And I agree. But actually, I also feel that for some reason, I still think he's the answer. Like, I think if he can get playing good football and be that player for Flick and the team, I think he would work out very nicely. And you could actually move Pedri higher up in the field, and then keep Frankie as that other player against Casado. But the problem right now that many midfielders are facing in our team is that there's currently only one position up for grabs, and that's the number 10. Pedri is not touchable. Neither is Casado. Casado is also untouchable. I mean, Casado never leaves the game. I mean, he's an absolute starter now for Flick. So
are we all in agreement that Pedri is better as an interior, as a double pivot, than he is as a number 10? Are we all in agreement?
I think he's better
for
there,
me.
100%.
For me, yeah.
So it's like,
okay,
if he wants to change up something, he gets rid of the number 10, Dani Olmo.
Yeah.
And then that he brings a player in and he shifts everything around. So for me, the problem is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players all battling out for one position in the field. That's how you could come down to it. Only 5 players for one position. And I think that's a bit of a problem. At the end of the day, I think slowly but surely, still, I think Flick has Frankie as the main option of the bench, or maybe the second. But I think this is a situation where Frankie has never found himself before.
Yeah.
It's the first time he has been this sort of guy. When he has been playing starter for a long time. With Koeman, he was a starter. With Valverde, he normally would be a starter because we played with 4 midfielders. It was Arturo Vidal, Rakitic, Busquets, Frenkie de Jong, and Roberto or somebody.
Yeah, no, you start with Valverde a lot.
Yeah, so he has to be always, a starting player. And now I think he's the first time he's seen himself as that bench player. And I think that it's going to take a bit of merit to get him out of that. And that will certainly struggle. I think if you are someone who has always been playing and getting a lot of minutes, it will be difficult.
Yeah. And don't forget, Bernal is going to be in the mix come next season as well. I did see a meme earlier today that was a photo of Frenkie de Jong that said, "You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain," which I believe is a quote from Batman. But it was a split shot. One picture was Frenkie de Jong, and then on the other side it was Rakitic, because the same thing happened to Rakitic. As soon as we started that kind of downfall after the 2015 Champions League, as we sort of parachuted down to Lionel Messi leaving and beyond, a lot of the blame went to Rakitic.
Yeah. I think the only issue is that Rakitic was 32 or 33, and people were like, get out, because he was evidently regressing. Frenkie de Jong at this age should be holding the mantle in midfield, going, Casado, Bernal, you guys come around me. And Pedri, you as well, and Gavi, you come around me. I rock this midfield. I came in when Messi and Piqué were here in 2019. Like, I've been through some shit. I was at the Bayern 8-2. I'm the guy who holds down this midfield. And 5 years later, he couldn't look like more of a stranger in that midfield. And he comes in so like looking around. And for me, that's the most uncomfortable he's looked at Barca, which I think would be worrying for all of us and for Flick, but most of all for him. And I think it is.
It's painful. It's painful because he's a player I love so much.
Let me say this, though. Let me say, I don't mean to cut you off, Buga, but I do want to I want to stand up for him a little bit here. His playing time is inconsistent. His fitness status is really kind of questionable. If we were having this conversation before the Betis match, Frankie's coming off a goal and an assist off the bench versus Mallorca. So is that a fluke? Is that what we should be expecting of Frenkie? Like, what are your expectations of him right now, I guess?
For me, I say the expectation, if I'm him, the first thing that I'm looking at is I need to get back a position in starting 11. And I think that's my expectation for him. Because right now, there's no reason, there's not a single reason that Frenkie de Jong should renew his contract and stay. There's not a single reason.
No.
And I think that's the most difficult thing to swallow, because before they were. You could land certain reasons here and there, certain arguments. Yeah. But now for me, the other day I was doing the video of the Betis game and I'm like, there really isn't any reason. I think people now, with the hatred of Frenkie, I mean, they have more arguments than I do to start and kind of keep him in this team. So I think the expectation for me at the moment is that he needs to come back to that player that we all know he is. I need him to start playing better football, and I need him to earn a position back into the team, because realistically, he should be there. Like it or not, this is gonna sound weird, hot take, but like realistically, if we're talking about like, crazy things, Frenkie de Jong on paper, when Flick arrived in this team, probably was higher up and is a starter than Casado.
Oh yeah.
When Flick's first starting 11 in his mind, when he just signed the contract, Frenkie de Jong was in the team.
Yeah.
So I think Frenkie has to get to a position like that. That's what I'm thinking. That's my expectation, and honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen. But for me, we always need to have a Dutchman in Barcelona. So let's keep him.
I've got a little bit of a theory. And this is stealing from a point I was going to bring up when we eventually talk about a January transfer window. I was seeing some reports earlier today that a 29-year-old Joshua Kimmich is going to make his decision on whether he's staying at Bayern or going elsewhere in January.
Ooh.
I think that decision fully impacts what happens with Frenkie de Jong.
Yeah.
Because if I take my own wants out of it, if I take my heart out of this, it is the right move for Barcelona financially to sell Frenkie de Jong this summer, sign Joshua Kimmich for free. Because Joshua Kimmich gives you a very similar profile. He's a couple of years older, which actually is more in alignment with the succession planning of Bernal, of Casado. So you bring in a Kimmich for 1 or 2 years on a free. You take those profits from a prime Frenkie de Jong and you move forward. I think that is the move. But it's a question of, will Kimmich actually leave Bayern Munich?
And I don't know if he will.
Yeah.
I don't know if he will, eh? That's going to be...
If that is the scenario, if he says, hey, I'm leaving, I'm available for free this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Barca are the first in line, I really do. They've got to be now.
Right? Are we just saying that because we're Barcelona supporters, or is there somewhere else where he would logically
Liverpool, Man City.
Liverpool would be a good one. I can't see him going to City at this point in his career.
Yeah, not with what's happening at City right now as well.
Yeah.
Cheltenham
wouldn't go to like a Serie A or anything.
That's what I mean.
No, talking about Kimmich.
Kimmich.
Like if Kimmich leaves, is Barcelona his most likely destination?
Yeah, and I think he doesn't move. It's that he's such in a safe environment at the moment, and when we're talking about it, like the way that he plays, They don't have a better right back than him. They don't have a better number 5 than him. They don't have a better midfielder than him. Makes sense. I think that at the moment, actually, I still wouldn't. I feel right now we're in a problem where Barcelona doesn't have another Casado, and if we're gonna keep Hansi Flick, we need another Casado. You know, that for me is my way of thinking. I don't know if you agree. We need another player like him. We need a Moises Caicedo.
Well, I agree, but I think it's Bernal.
You think it's Bernal? I don't think it's Bernal.
Yeah, I think what I was seeing from Bernal, I think he's as close as we're gonna get to a Busquets. He's very smooth. He's very calm, and then you put someone who's gonna put in kind of that workhorse mentality with Casado next to him. It could be curious, but that then brings us to the same problem. Let's say you do have Casado and Bernal playing together. Where does Pedri go? Because we all agree that the number 10 position is not suited for him to get the best of Pedri. So it's an interesting problem, I think, in the midfield that we'll need a little bit of time. Need a little time to play that out, I think. I do want to jump back and talk about a couple of other points from these matches. We mentioned Ferran Torres. He scored in back-to-back matches now. He started versus Mallorca, came off the bench, right? Came off the bench versus Betis, or did he start on the left?
Yeah.
No, he came off,
the bench.
So goals in both matches.
The Shark.
Also some missed chances, I'll say. There were some that
I've
he
never
maybe
shouted
could
at
have had in
Ferran
there.
Torres on TV in my screen. I've never shouted at him, but the other day against Betis was the first time I ever shouted at him. Did you see that? Like,
was it the one where he just took the ball off of Lamine?
Yeah, bro, that goal was gonna be the best goal ever. That goal was gonna be the freaking best goal ever. I mean, Ferran Torres, what are you doing? And even for the goal that he scored that actually ended up being onside, the equalized the at the moment the goal that was gonna give us victory.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have just left it for Pau Victor.
Sure.
You know, that's more reasonable. I think he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard. And people are gonna say, "Oh, the 2 goals are back." You know, he's a shark. He's coming back. And you know me. I love Ferran Torres.
Sounds like you
know
me. We know.
You know me. I love Ferran Torres. But it's like, I mean, the goal against Mallorca was the most fluke goal I've ever seen in my life. And this goal is like,
wasn't a great finish either, Burga.
Yeah, it was just like a finish.
No, it fell to him, and it was still a sloppy finish.
It wasn't a great finish. He got away with it.
As well. He got away with it. But I mean, that's the sort of thing you want from a poacher and a sort of striker at the end of the day. That's what you want. But I just need to have Ferran Torres do that more consistently. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it is a positive that he is. We do need a sub attacker. If he wants to be a sub attacker who starts against Mallorca, albeit crap goal, but he got involved a lot. If he had a first touch in that first half, he could have had a hat trick. Against Betis again, I do at least like that he gets chances, Ferran, and if he can finish them off by hook or by crook, I will take that. What I won't take is him being a starter left winger for this team, because then it's a tough watch. But if he can be, a squad player, I think that's a role that can work for him.
That's where I think Ferran is best. I think Ferran needs to just be Chicharito. That's all he needs to be.
I agree with you both. It's a tough pill to swallow if you factor in that, plus what I said earlier about Dani Olmo, and then we have 110, 120 million euros coming off the bench for us. That's a tough pill to swallow, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's more the way that Ferran Torres has developed as a player. And I'm just going to, do a little bit of a Ferran Torres love watch.
You can fanboy out a little bit?
I'm going to fanboy out a little bit. Just saying that it's the way that he has played. And actually, I think Flick has realized that now. Because Ferran Torres, when you actually think about it, when he was in Valencia, he was this tricky winger. He was this skinny little Spanish dude who was very good on the ball and dribbled past opponents. He was perfect, mold for a winger. He went to Guardiola, and then he became this number 9 because Guardiola saw something in him that nobody else saw. I guess in a way that actually kind of destroyed him a bit, you could say.
Pep did a classic then.
Pep did a classic, but eventually the one thing that Ferran Torres has that I think only Lewandowski, you could say, has in this squad is those runs out of the mark, getting off the mark of the player and getting those runs in behind. Something very similar. I'm gonna make a weird comparison. Ferran Torres reminds me a lot of Darwin Nunez. I'm going all over the place because they create so much. Because they have those runs off the mark that are very good, and they in a way they have so many chances. There's so many own chances. They create own chances themselves that they are allowed to miss a bit more because they they find themselves in those positions. So I'm guessing that's what happened to Ferran Torres. And then he got bulkier. He won a different way. He wanted to become the number 9. And finally, I'm getting to the point, Flick has realized that because these last 2 games, he has actually been replaced not as a winger, but played as that extra striker. Yeah. And I think that if he can be that guy, that's what I've been saying, I'm perfectly down to that. For me, he should be a striker over Pau Victor. And I think that's where he's fit in. So for me, it's just the guy. He should be a center forward / super sub for a 9, for a striker position. He's not a winger. He's not a winger anymore, unfortunately.
No, he isn't. Yeah, I agree with that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was Pep Guardiola who said his best position is actually a number 9 because of his movement.
That's why he's an inside forward. If you want to get technical, he's an inside forward.
Well, speaking of forwards, what do we think about Vitor Roque's performance versus Barcelona? Our loanee.
Talking about people who look like Ferran Torres and Darwin Nunez, Vitor Roque is also very good running off the mark. He also has very good movement.
With running off the mark, I thought you meant like physically looks like them. I was like,
no. He's also still very good. He's very good at doing that. He's very good at making those runs. And I think that actually, did Flick ever had a chance to train him?
Mm-hmm. He had him in preseason,
Yeah. I wonder why we didn't keep him in a way because he's that number 9 where for me he's the sort of number 9 you want coming off the bench. He's a little bit, he's faster, he's quick, he's a bit of a terrier. He doesn't have the best finishing maybe, but I think it's down to the tactical ideas. Maybe that Flick. I think Flick does seize that quite a lot. If you're smart, with his tactics, if you're able to understand them very quick.
I think it's more of a player value, trying to preserve the player value more than anything else. If Vitor Roque rots on the bench for Barcelona for this season, his value's tanked. It's nothing.
Yep.
If we load him out, he gets some experience. He can showcase what he can do. Even if he doesn't fit back into Barcelona, at least his value hasn't dropped. So I think that's why he got loaned out more than anything else, and just giving preferential treatment to a Pau Victor.
Yeah. I think also Vitor Roque needed to leave Barcelona as well. You could tell he was really uncomfortable with everything that was going on, and in turn the club were uncomfortable with him. So I think he needed to go for his own development. I'm not just saying this to be salty. I didn't really notice him massively in the game personally. Vitor Roque, I didn't.
Yeah.
I almost forgot he was on the pitch when he won the penalty actually. That I admit that literally could be down to me focusing on Barca players, which I think I often do. Sometimes at the end of the game that we've lost, people say "What a game by their winger," and I'm like, "Yeah, I suppose he was quite good, wasn't he?" And I just haven't been even paying that much attention to the opposition player, but I didn't notice he ran that much, did that much.
No, he wasn't he didn't destroy the pitch. He didn't have the best performance ever. He had a 6.5.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Like a 6. What do you guys think about not only just his reaction in celebrating the goal scored on the penalty, because he made sure that he was right there with who scored the penalty?
Lo
Celso. He made sure that he was right there to be in that photo op. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but before the penalty was taken, when the penalty was awarded, whoever was standing next to him, he kissed the Betis badge on that player's kit. The badge kiss and the celebrating the goal, for me, I think is a clear indicator for where Vitor's head is at. I don't think we'll see him wear a Barcelona kit again.
No. I completely agree. I think he had a really uncomfortable time at Barca. People need to realize when you're young, it is a big club to step into. And I do think he was treated unfairly and wasn't given enough opportunities. And I think he feels hard done by, wrongly treated, whatever. And as a young guy, you sort of build up this what's the word, John? Oh, I've got it on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. Anyway, you build up this sort of this feeling that everyone's against you, and you sort of go like me against the world. And I think he feels that at Barcelona. That's what I see: the kissing the badge, getting in the photos, screaming like for the penalties. I think he's sort of like, "F you! Like, let me prove like what you guys did to me was so wrong, and I'm going to prove like how wrong it was."
Yeah, got some animosity.
Yeah, that's just I just feel like he's got a massive chip on his shoulder when it comes to Barca right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Any other talking points from either match before we jump over for a little Dortmund preview?
I had a few to say. I think just briefly, one, the centre-back partnership I think needs resting big time. We've got Araujo back. Yeah. I think he'll travel to Dortmund. He won't play. I think he could get minutes against Leganés off the bench, I'd imagine. That means we'll have Araujo back for 2025. But those two need rest massively. It's a 17-year-old and a 33-year-old. And then the guy behind them, Iñaki Peña. That's got to be a positive, guys, because the first one was really worried about what this Ter Stegen injury would mean. And if you don't have a goalkeeper you can trust, then I think you can almost forget about the season. I mean, I look at how well Chelsea are doing, but with Robert Sanchez in goal, it just feels like there's a mistake waiting to happen always. It's such an important position. And he's making some really big saves right now, Iñaki Peña. I think he's much quicker off his line too. He's a confidence player for sure. Mm-hmm. He's just I'm feeling a lot more secure with Iñaki Peña in goal right now, and that is a massive positive for Barcelona going forward. He made some really big saves on Saturday.
Getting Chesney through the door and having Flick back him, that has taken his level to the next, the next altitude.
Yeah, that was good management.
He has now that confidence. I think that at the end, that's why Flick knows more than us, right? Because he's the manager, right? He decided to keep Iñaki Peña, and he decided to go for a player of the stature of someone like Chesney, and he kept Peña, and I think that has taken him to the next level. So fair play. And I think he's when always I start to doubt Peña, bang, he comes in with amazing saves, and I think that we are literally drawing also because of him in the game. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that similar to Flick realizing that Torres now is a number 9 sub, I think that he has realized that hopefully that Ford is better than Gerard Martin.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because he has started to rotate him a little bit earlier into the game. And the other the reason I was thinking, or why is he preferring so much Gerard Martin, is because, for instance, there's a goal. There's a goal that Ford was bad, and let someone onside 1-on-1 in the.
Was it Celta Vigo?
I think it was.
I know what you're talking about.
Las Palmas, no?
Whatever match it was recently.
Yeah,
I think he came on off the bench and immediately let somebody in behind.
I think it was Las Palmas at home, the second goal. Fabio Silva.
There's an image when you take a look at it, and you see Gerard Martin, Cubarsí, and Íñigo Martínez, and all in a perfect straight line, and then Héctor Ford. So that's why I was saying I think that he values quite a lot if you're able to understand his tactics and his ideas very early on, Yeah. And I think that's
By the way, go ahead. Yeah.
Hopefully now he has seen that Héctor Ford understands him good enough so that we can keep him in this team. But I know going to the transfer window, and we've also talked about it behind the scenes, I think we need fullbacks, and apparently Deco and Flick has identified that as well. I think we need that ASAP.
Yeah. 0 offside for Betis against Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. I think this was the first match that Barcelona did not catch their opponent offside even a single time.
Yeah.
Could be.
Which makes me a little bit worried.
Yeah.
That's a very good sign, actually. A very bad sign for us, a very good sign of what Betis did. I think they knew, because the other team that I could point down that also had a little bit of low offsides was Real Sociedad as well. I think they were very similar games.
There was 1 or 2 matches where we were offside more than our opponent, and I think maybe it was Sociedad. I think we talked about it on one of the episodes.
Yeah.
But it to me, it makes me nervous that maybe clubs are starting to figure out how to work around that.
100%, yeah. And they were getting in time after time, and we were lucky it was Abder, a player who we know well, who just... So I thought before the game when I saw him, I looked at his stats, I think he had 1 goal in 12 games or something. He hasn't got any end product yet, Abder, in his game, and you could see it because he should have scored twice against Barca.
Yeah.
big misses, really, and good saves from Iñaki Peña, in all fairness. But, we would have been punished by someone else on another day. We have got to be careful with the high line. We have. But it works really well against Mallorca, for example.
Great against Mallorca. The Betis match, we could have lost that one 5-2.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
A little bit of better finishing. If Peña doesn't make a big save here and there, it's 5-2 Betis.
That's always the games with Betis. Have you realized that? We always have
it's very open matches.
Goals,
always,
very open games.
I think, Pablo, you were saying that last week.
Yeah. That's even more frustrating there why we didn't win, John, because, it is always, because you'll always have space against Betis. I personally feel as if we played a little bit more like Real Madrid usually do when they go to the Benito Villamarín, because we usually go there and Betis obviously try and play good football and do get chances, but we're usually really good at exploiting the space. I don't think we did that. Personally, in this game, I don't think we exploited the space nowhere near enough. I think they were the better team. I don't leave it going because usually we leave the Benito Villamarín having a shed load of chances. That's the bad side of Betis' game. I think their fans would always agree that we leave it too open for Barca when they come here. It's unsustainable. They always leave with 4 or 5 goals, and it's because we do. And this time, I think they played it well as they always do, but we didn't counter it well enough as we usually do, even in our worst times.
Yeah. I agree.
Only other thing that I have that I think is worth mentioning right now, I think the most beautiful thing in football right now today is Lamine Yamal passing with the outside of his boot. That little left foot curler. Yeah. Get out of here. Yeah, finding Rafinha, and then also twice against Mallorca. He found Rafinha for that goal and then set up I think it was Frenkie who eventually scored it. Yeah. But Lamine finds Pau Victor making that run, finds it with the outside of his boot, so on and so forth. Frenkie knocks it in. That is, it warms my heart to see. I really do think that's the most beautiful thing in football right now is Lamine Yamal passing with the outside of his boot.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got for these two matches. You guys got anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Let's talk Champions League football. We got Dortmund coming up. Dortmund right now are sitting 4th in the Champions League table, just behind Barcelona, level on points, but I think we got them beat on goal differential. Yeah, we're plus 13, they're plus 10. Both clubs have won 4 out of 5. How are we feeling going into this one?
I kind of almost forgot that we had to face them. But it's a nice test. I think it's a very nice test at a good stage of the season to see where we're actually at. I think that certainly will come and we can see where we are at. I think it's a good opponent. They're in between they're in the top 8. So yeah, let's bring it. And it's a tough stadium to go. Let's go and see how we get this. They managed to draw against Bayern Munich, which is a surprise, I guess. Yeah, bring them on. I think it's a good test. That's what I really think about it right now, and I'm excited to see whether we can get something out of it.
Yeah, I think Dortmund are one of the clubs that's going to drop in the Champions League table. If you look at their opponents, they won 3-0 against Club Brugge, 7-1 against Celtic, lost 5-2 against Real Madrid. I think that's the most telling. Yeah. That's the toughest opponent that they had. 1-0 over Sturm Graz, and then 3-0 over Dynamo Zagreb. So their wins weren't really against big teams, which does give me a little bit of hope. Pablo, how are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I always think that they're a little bit of the. I'm not going to say. I was going to call them the German Tottenham Hotspur, but that is a little bit harsh, actually. But they're not quite like that. But in the fact that I always think you should be beating them because I think they'll give you chances, and I don't think they're a winning club. Borussia Dortmund, like the 2-0 up against Real Madrid, they are the epitome of them going on to lose that game 5-2 by naivety, by cowardly changes, whatever it was. They're the epitome of that, in my opinion. But I think on their day, they can be really good, just like Spurs, and really hurt you. And I think Barca are going to have a really tough time on Wednesday night, by the way. I would not be surprised if we don't win this game. I think this has got for me a draw written all over it, actually, this game. It really does, which I'm okay with Champions League group-wise. I'm actually more bothered about beating Leganés and certainly Atletico Madrid than I am Borussia Dortmund right now, with all things considered. Yeah. There are still games to go in the Champions League, but I mean, how many we played? 5, is it, John? Yeah? 3 to go. 3 quite tough ones, I will say. So if we beat Dortmund, we are in a wonderful spot, by the way, for the next round, which is great. But for me, a draw is a good result. And I think it's going to be a proper test. I think we're all a bit scarred away from home in Europe. I know I am. I don't know. I just feel like teams with a big atmosphere. I just go there and I'm like, I don't like it. So I would love to see a proper performance. Yeah, and that was a typical us away from home. That wasn't it. That was 0-0 to Stegen saved a Roy's penalty in that one. But we weren't very good. Like we were just like meh, as always, you know.
We do have
I agree. I think.
Go ahead, Buga.
I think Pablo is right. Very three difficult games in the Champions League at the moment, and I think that we can. This is actually a very important part of the season because we need to come out of it showing that this is where. It is gonna sound so cringe. This is where champions are made. You know, this is where we see which team actually gets those points. You know, if you can, for instance, today Arsenal had to beat Fulham, Liverpool had to beat Newcastle. You know, those games where it's not about the toughest opposition, it's not the biggest clashes, but Barcelona had to beat Real Betis if you really wanna be in the champions. You know, or at the end of the day, you have to beat Leganés, you have to beat Atletico Madrid, you have to beat these teams in the Champions League. You have not to lose. You cannot lose against Dortmund, Benfica, and Atalanta. You know, it's like Barcelona could easily drop out of the top 8 by the end of these 3 games if we are not careful. You know.
Yeah.
So we
do have a tricky run.
So Barcelona needs to be very careful and needs to come out of these wins. It doesn't matter that we play good football, and that's where I'm hoping like Flick understands. We just need to win. These are the moments where you just need to win. I don't care how, but just win.
Yeah.
Get Ernesto Valverde on a loan.
I think Flick knows that and is prioritizing, at least for these next 2 matches, I think was prioritizing the Champions League fixture.
Yeah.
You saw Rafinha and Olmo come off right around the 60th minute. That's not typical whatsoever, particularly for Rafinha, who could run 90 minutes plus multiple times a week. So I think we're going to see the strongest 11 that Flick can put out versus Dortmund. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of rotation against Leganés. So that we have, again, a fully fit starting 11 strong team versus Atletico Madrid the following week.
I mean, he does know Dortmund more than us. So he probably has a lot of respect for them. This is
true. Yeah. Shall we just kind of quickly piece together a starting 11 then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Peña between the posts. Yes, all agreed?
Sir.
Okay. Back 4 shouldn't change. Balde, Inigo, Kubarsi, Koundé, or are we going to see Gerard Martin? That I think is the only question for me.
No.
I'd go Balde, but Hansi's a
Balde,
big
of course,
Martin fan. We're going Balde?
Yeah, okay. Of course, yeah.
Midfield 3.
Yeah.
Pedri, Casado, and who?
Daniel. I think it's simple.
I think we go unchanged, but I think it's weird to go unchanged after, for me, what was a really disappointing performance away to Betis. I don't think Barca were good, and I think to then play Dortmund away, it's weird to play unchanged. But I think when we look over the lineup, and Hansi will do the same when he looks over the lineup, I think with his coaching staff, he'll think, who do we change here? And I think they'll be left with the answer of no one.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And maybe there's something to Dani Olmo playing in Bundesliga the last few years.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
A competitive edge against
I think
Dortmund.
So. But I mean, the obvious ones, De Jong, who I don't think will play now, but that midfield could be mixed up with De Jong going in there. Fermin, I think, hasn't played in a while. Could he take Olmo's spot? I would usually say yes. Like if we were playing Atalanta, I'd say maybe Fermin starts, but I just think Olmo has that. Maybe the European class and against a Bundesliga team as well. And Ferran, obviously, after his 2 goals, but that front 3 in a big European game, I think you've got to keep it the same. So I think we see an unchanged team, which, as I say, is strange after the lackluster performance.
Yeah. Bro, I'm with you on that. Different opponent, different environment, different circumstance.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably same team. So Rafinha, Lewandowski, Lamine finishing us off there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Round of predictions then. This is happening. This is a Wednesday match, right? Yeah.
It is
on Wednesday. Barcelona traveling to Dortmund. What are we thinking, boys? What's the scoreline going to be?
I've got mine.
Hit Hit us with it, Papa Pablo.
I'm going to go for 1-1.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go 0-0.
Look at these predictions.
Has
One-
Barcelona been
1-1 and 0-0 is mad.
Oh yeah, against Sociedad. I was about to say, have we been shut out yet this season? But Sociedad, we just lost 1-0. That might have been our only shutout so far. The only match that we didn't score in. I'm scrolling through the results here. I think, yeah, that is accurate. So there's only been one match where we haven't scored. I'm gonna say 2-1 to the good guys. Barcelona coming away with a victory in this one.
I was expecting for you to say Dortmund out of nowhere.
No, I'm going to say 2-1 Barcelona. I'm going to say goals from Rafinha and Lewandowski. Easy peasy. Exactly what we would expect. Dortmund will give us a scare. Maybe they even score first. But Barcelona come away with a 2-1 victory here in this one. Stay close to the top of the table there in Champions League. Lock it in. Lock it in. All right. What's left? A little January transfer window conversation, and then we call it a day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think that the best player we can bring in the transfer window is Oscar Mingueza.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the name I was going
Do
to
you
put
think
forward.
Celta Vigo would let him go?
I mean, they're Celta Vigo. They certainly can. We can.
They're down in 10th right
pick,
now in the
we
table.
can take Mingueza out of Celta Vigo. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They will bite your hand
Save
off
him.
for a decent amount.
Well, that's why I checked to see where Celta Vigo is at in the table, because if they were making a run of things, I would say no chance that they're going to give up somebody who's regularly in their starting 11. But they're not having a fantastic season. They're in 10th. They're not really... I mean, they're a win away from being in the top 6, but giving up Mingueza wouldn't break the bank. I did see... What's his name? Mark Pubil? Is that how you say it for Almeria?
Yeah.
We were looking at him in the summer, and I'm seeing some reports kind of resurfacing that we might be looking at him. Am I right that we are primarily looking for a right back just to give Koundé a little bit of a break? And if that is the case, what's wrong with Hector Fort?
I think Mingueza is an upgrade. I think
Mingueza's he's like a mini Koundé. Yeah, he's like a mini Koundé as well. But
very similar.
does that make it an unnecessary signing or no? Or does that make it like a good signing? Do you get what I mean by that? Because Hector Fort is more of like a natural up and down fullback. Mingueza is obviously more like Koundé, who's converted from a centre back to a right back. I'm just asking the point whether you want both of your right backs to be the same or not.
I'm just thinking Hector Fort can play left back, can play right back. Mingueza can play left back, can play right back. I'm fine with that. He can play center back. I think that's the sort of player we should be going for at the moment, because what happens if Koundé gets injured? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I want someone similar to him in that sense. I don't want to be forced to play someone who's gonna change the way that we're playing at the moment. Who's having a fullback. If we have a fullback, let's get a fullback, and a fullback is Mingueza. So,
yeah, I don't think Mingueza is probably the best that we could bring in that's available. And in your scenario, Buga, let's say Koundé is unavailable for a match, and you gave me the option of starting a Hector Fort or a Mingueza. I do like the idea of having Mingueza. I do like it, but I'll say I don't think that's going to be the difference maker for whether or not we get a La Liga title or a Champions League title or a Copa del Rey. Like, it's really not. I think, honestly, I don't think there's anybody that we could realistically bring in that's going to be a difference maker.
Yeah.
no.
Can I say I don't think we're going to sign anyone in January.
Me too.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. Here's what'll actually happen. If Koundé was unavailable at right back, a healthy Araujo would play there.
Yeah.
That's what we'd end up doing, right? We're going to get Christensen back. We're going to get Araujo back. Eric Garcia is fit and available again. I think we would see Araujo slide out to right back.
Yeah.
If that were the case.
Do we think anyone leaves?
That was going to be my next question.
Okay,
I got
sorry.
2 names that I think could go out on loan.
Hit me.
Ansu Fati,
Yeah.
Pablo Torres.
Ooh. I mean, they shouldn't, but I think Eddie Garcia's on the list as well, eh?
I think Eric Garcia. Well, okay, I'm 50-50 on Eric Garcia because there's 2 ways to read it.
Yeah.
He's been getting a little bit of playing time as a defensive mid.
Yeah.
Is he getting that playing time to put him on display a little bit and show that he's versatile, that he's got good value for any potential suitors? Or is Flick actually going to rely on him as that stopgap when the match needs to be tied up, when we just need to kind of get through the last 10 minutes or so and we want a strong defensive midfield? Is that Eric Garcia?
I mean, John, I'm also thinking with the centre-back issue we've got right now, I think it's irresponsible to let go of him in January, can I just say?
I would agree.
I think the way they're going to be thinking is we get Christensen and Araujo back in January, but that can be naive thinking because they could easily pull up again and then you've got those out for 6 more weeks, let's just say. Hopefully not. And by the way, hopefully both those do come back properly in January and it's not like, they're going to come back and then in February we're still waiting, but... Eric Garcia, for me, has to stay. Pablo Torres is a really interesting one, as is Ansu Fati, you said no, John?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's still injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, what did I just see? I think Ansu and Christensen just returned to training this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Again, correct me in the comments.
Oh, Ansu Fati, why?
Because here's the thing. Right now, we saw plenty of Ansu Fati before he got injured, and it's not the Ansu Fati that we want. So, which is going to be better for club and player? Letting him play behind Ferran Torres, Pau Victor, and potentially any other midfielders that could play on that left wing, or do we loan him out, see if he can get some playing time, see if he can increase his value?
No,
I hate to say it. This is a recurring question, but Ansu's time at Barcelona might be limited.
Just keep Ansu Fati. I mean, right now, the prospect of Ansu Fati being the Ansu Fati we all know and love, it's far greater than the prospect of letting him go. I think there's more value in just, keeping him. Yeah. Personally, I think there's more value in that.
Okay. So we're thinking, do you guys have anybody on your list that might go either loan or sell?
I think Pablo Torres is a good one. I think that's a very interesting one. Because he's a good player. He's a very good player, and he should be like, he's at the same sort of level that Fermin Lopez, you could say. But I think Fermin Lopez gives you something different, and I think that's the sort of thing that he would be looking towards. I think he should be looking at, hey, I'm equally or far better than Fermin Lopez, so why I'm not playing more? And then he should think about moving somewhere else to get that playing time. I think that right now, Betis, for instance, would take him. I think right now there are plenty of things that would take him. So, sure, I think that's his level. Not that he cannot be greater, but at the moment, I think he should be looking to become a starter in one of those teams.
Yeah.
Fair.
Is there any possibility of Barcelona bringing in a left wing in January? I saw a silly rumor earlier today. Maybe our Chelsea's correspondent Pablo can weigh in on this. I saw Mudryk.
Did you? From who?
Everybody echoing it. I don't know who the original source was, but everybody was echoing Chelsea making Mudryk available and Barcelona being one of those potential suitors. I can't see that happening. I don't think it would be a good move even on a loan. Mudryk does need a fresh start, that's for sure, but I don't think it's realistic.
I don't think it will happen. I don't think he leaves Chelsea in January, by the way. I think he stays.
No.
Yeah.
He's Chelsea's number 10, please. More respect to his name.
As a Barcelona supporter with Ansu Fati as the number 10, we know number 10s aren't always the real number 10.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Ansu
And
Fati.
was it? Am I crazy, or did Chelsea also sell Pulisic when he was the number 10? So
Yeah.
Come on.
It
Come
doesn't
on
mean
now.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't buying the hype. I wanted to bring it up as something that was circulating around. I am also of the mindset that we're not going to have anybody come in. We might have one player go out on loan. I think what could happen, and I want to save this for maybe the next episode. I think we might be actually focused on some contract renewals. Because if you look at the list of contracts that are going to expire in 26, there's some big names on there.
Okay.
So maybe next week or
Yeah.
soon thereafter, we can go through those contracts, talk about who we definitely need to prioritize and who maybe we sell before their contract expires. So we don't want to
Yeah.
let anybody go for free. I know
Barca
that. So I
should
think that would be
send
an
a cheeky
interesting
loan bid
conversation.
for Mbappe.
Do what?
Barca should send a cheeky loan bid for
For Mbappe, you said?
I mean, why not?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But let us know down in the comments. What do you think might happen in the January transfer window? Is it going to be quiet? Are we going to see anybody coming or going? Give us your thoughts on the last two matches, Mallorca Betis. What is your starting 11 for the match coming up against Dortmund? Give us your predictions too. A lot of homework for you listeners out there to take part in. So let us know your questions, your thoughts, your opinions. We want to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you as we continue to grow this podcast, continue to grow this community so that everybody can see that this is the number one football podcast in the world. It'll be known here sooner rather than later. But that's what we got for today's episode. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about the results from the Dortmund match as well as Almeria, right? Is that who we have? No.
Leganes.
Leganes, excuse me. Leganes. Yeah, is Almeria even? Yeah, Leganes. So we'll be doing that. And whatever else comes up, we'll be here to discuss it. The Three Kings. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for
Take
listening.
care.
Bye.